Oak, are you ready to have our pre-podcast conversation?
Yes, Natalie Diaz. I'm always ready to have that conversation with you.
Well, good, because I don't want to talk to anybody else. I don't want any new friends.
The two of us.
That kind of goes along with the vibe of today's podcast. So today we're talking to twin mom Carol, and she is a Brazilian that moved to the US for work, but then fell in love with the US and then moved here permanently. And then getting pregnant and raising a family and having her family come up from Brazil. And of course, you can't come up for a week because the flight is so expensive and so time consuming that they come up for months at a time. Okay. And then having a discussion of when do you time that? Like, how do you time your help? And if you do have family that's international or even family out of state or even out of your city, what's the best time to have people come and help? So when you're working with like your postpartum doula clients, do you ever have their family there too? Or do you find that people either hire you or have their family? Do people ever hire you to kind of manage their family? Like, what have you seen on the front lines of postpartum help?
I've seen a variety of things. I've seen where grandma and grandpa come, or grandma, whatever, come and stay, but they're not necessarily wanting to do overnight. So I'm doing the nights. The extended family is helping during the day. I've been hired to help like teach safe sleep and all that kind of stuff and kind of guide them on, how to wash a breast pump parts out and how to deal with formula and that kind of stuff. And then I've had families who are like, my parents live in Austria and, they can't come. Yeah. Can you come until they can make it, type of situation? And sometimes they don't get along with their extended family and they, or they butt heads and they're like, I love them, but I don't want them in my face and staying with me. I've actually worked with a family who they flew the grandmother in. It was during the pandemic. I think that they were in like Colombia or something. They actually rented her a different apartment in the same building because they didn't want her living there.
Yes. Well, that's that's an us thing for this area, right? But like where you are, you have enough room in your house that if somebody came to stay with you, you would just put them in another room.
Yeah. But like when I had my youngest, Molly, and my twins were 3 and Rebecca was 15, my mother-in-law came up, but she was not the type that wanted to get up with me in the middle of the night. She came here and stayed for a night or two and then was like, I'm going to go stay with my sister, Mary Jo, in Massapequa. I'll come during the day. I was like, thanks for all that help. Thanks, Berta. Thanks.
You gotta love family.
So like what you envision your parents are going to do or your extended family is going to do doesn't always pan out. So like sometimes they're like, oh, I'm going to come help, but then they want to be entertained. They want to be fed. Like, well, I had twins. I'll entertain you and feed you.
I'm telling you. It's crazy. It's so interesting to me that people do that. Like this, that's not an uncommon thing that like grandma, grandpa, auntie comes to help. And then they're like, well, what are we having for lunch? And I'm like, what did she just say to you? Like, I'll be there. Like Lauren and I have very different jobs. Lauren goes and stays for hours and days and nights and months. Like she'd literally, I'm there maybe 4 hours max. Like that would be like the tippy top of the time that I would try to stay with the family. I try to get in, get my job done, and I'm out. And when I'm there and I see grandparents that are not contributing the way that they should, I may always have something to say to them before I leave. So I try to remind grandma, especially of what that was like when she had her puppies and what that postpartum period was like, especially like with our twin families, right? Like we're so fragile and like, and that's if everybody's home and not even in the NICU.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we are working with families that honestly, I never know what I'm walking into, just like you don't. And I think it was interesting that Carol she had the benefit of having a Singleton first and then having her 20s. Yep. So she already had some kind of like postnatal life experience on knowing what to do and what worked and what didn't work. And that is what this episode is all about. It's what she learned the first time, how she applied it to the second time. Dealing with people that you can't just say like, get out of here. Like they have to live with you because they live in another country. They don't have an Airbnb down the block. So that is what this episode is about. Are you ready to hear from Carol and her family?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's do it. Carol, thank you so much for coming to the podcast today.
No, thank you for having me, Natalie.
I love the perspective that you're bringing to the table of coming here to the United States from another country, leaving your friends and family behind, having to start everything from scratch, and then starting from scratch even with your family. And then knowing that your community is someplace else, and that is so I should say it isn't so. It could be so unsettling if you do not plan correctly.
Yeah.
So I am dying to hear about your journey with both your twinnies and your singleton. I'm always just fascinated when anybody comes to the United States. I know that right now it's a hot topic button. Our country is built on immigrants. My family was, yes, it was 5 generations ago, but they were less immigrants than everybody else. And I think that it's absolutely so admirable and so brave to be like, okay, we're going to do this. So tell us a little bit about your story and about how your family took the news when you were going to move. I want to know everything because I personally am fascinated by this. So I know that our listeners, I was going to say readers, but I don't think anybody's reading this right now, unless we transcribe it. But I want to know everything because this is the bravest thing that I think that humans do is knowing, like mindfully knowing that you're up and changing yourself without a safety net.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly it.
Oh, girl, tell us everything.
All right. And this might get a little bit long, so I hope it's not, but I'm going to start from the beginning. So I was born and raised in Brazil, my husband as well. And I am from a big city, actually, like the size of New York. So I'm used to that fast pace and not having a house, not having a yard and long commutes and stress and all of that. That was what I learned since I was born. So kids were never my first priority. So for a long period of time, I thought I wouldn't have kids or even wouldn't get married because that was just not my lifestyle. I wanted to work, I wanted to travel, and kids were the exact opposite of that in my mind. So fast forward a few years, my company actually transferred me to the US, to the Midwest. And my husband came along, of course. Well, we weren't married back then, but we got married and he came along. He was kind of ready to have kids, but I was still like in doubt. But now, we were in a smaller city. So we had a house, we had a yard. So we didn't have the long commutes anymore. So I ran out of excuses with him. And he's an only child. I have a younger sister, but he's an only child. And he always mentioned he didn't want to have one kid. So we always agreed, okay, if we're going to do this, it's going to have to be 2. And 2 was our number. You mentioned like my family, they kind of knew this is something I wanted because, again, I wanted to travel all around. And so they knew eventually I would be away. I don't know if they knew I was going to be away forever, but they knew it was going to happen at least for a period of time. Now, my husband's family, no, like it was never his dream. It was never his idea to move abroad. He comes from an Italian family, just like yours, that everybody is very tied together and have lunch every Sunday morning, together. So it was harder on them, I think, compared to my family.
So when you knew that you were coming up here for work, did you have to sit them down and say, listen, it's just going to be temporary, right? Because it's like, if you're just coming up for work, you'd be like, Mom, it's just going to be temporary. Don't get nervous. But do you think that in her heart, she knew you were never coming back?
So that kind of happened because I was first transferred here for a temporary assignment back in 2015. And it was a temporary assignment for 18 months. And then we went back to Brazil. But we liked it. And then we were like, okay, we liked the fact that it was a smaller city and, things were not so crazy like it is here at home. So there was a bunch of different things that we liked it. And we started seeing if we could come back for good. So the second time around, they kind of knew it was like a longer term thing at least. Yeah.
So how long were you back the second time before you got pregnant with your son?
So we got back in January 2020, just before things got crazy.
Oof.
And so we got pregnant about mid 2021. So we were here for a year and a half, more or less.
Wow. Okay,
Yep.
so you were here for a hot minute. You decided to go through the pandemic with us. Wonderful
Yep.
experience. That would
Yeah,
be interesting.
amazing.
Nobody was winning. There was no country that was winning. So I'm
Well,
glad you were here. So that
well,
was,
at least we were all alone anyway. So it was just the two
yes,
of us, and it was
yes.
okay because we knew that it was going to happen. It was
Wow.
going to have to be the two of us, and that's it.
So when you got pregnant with your son and you were flying solo and going to your doctor's appointments and you had your husband and he was your main support system,
Yep.
did you build other support systems around you of just people, you're a new local community?
Yes, yes. And that was extremely important. It was fundamental for me, honestly. So, especially two girls that I'm friends with here in our city. One of them actually got pregnant the exact same time as me. We had the same due date. It was amazing. Like, we weren't even so close, but that brought us super together. We're very good friends up to this day. And then another girl that she already had two kids. So she kind of brought us together and started sharing things and helping us not only with the mental and psychological preparedness, but like the technical things, like you don't need to buy this, but you need to buy this. And so that was again fundamental.
Being from another country and then delivering here, you know what the medical system like is at home, right? You're used to your family and friends and sisters and cousins and nieces and like everybody getting pregnant home. Were you worried about having kids here and how different just that experience would be? Just like the medical end of things. Did the community that surrounded you, that you created, did they kind of give you like a heads up on how different this would be than delivering in Brazil?
Yes, they did. So I'm the oldest. My sister is younger than me, so she doesn't have any kids yet. So I didn't have a lot of friends who actually had kids in Brazil. So I knew, but I didn't know exactly what to expect from having a kid in Brazil anyway. But I think the most challenging part was like, I didn't have a doctor here. I didn't, so I didn't know the hospitals. I didn't know where I wanted to deliver. And I didn't have, a lot of people to ask. So it was kind of going to work and asking people, okay, where was this son delivered again? And trying to make notes and without trying to sound so weird.
Yeah. But it's good that you had people that had already that walked through this process already here. So locally, they knew which doctor you needed to go to. You knew that you trusted that doctor already because your friends had been through it.
Yes.
So at what point did your family say, enough, we're not letting you stay up there by yourself? At what point did they say, because truthfully, your culture and even like my kind of, European Italian culture, we're all about family. Like that's the sun that revolves around all of us. So being so far away from home and going through such a enormous life event, how did your family handle that? And when did they say, that's it, Carol, we're coming up, get the bed ready, pick us up at the airport, we're coming there? How did that go?
They were very patient, I must say, because they stand still the entire pregnancy. I thought maybe they would want to come or ask me to fly there and be with them at least for a little while so they could see me pregnant and that kind of thing. But they were very patient, but they wanted to be here for the birth. All grandparents wanted to be here at the same time, I must add. Wow. So they decided to come, like my due date was April 23rd. They decided to come here a week before. So they got here on the 15th, and that was when my son was born. He was literally waiting for them. Yes, they got
your
here.
Family stayed in your house.
They did. Yes.
Okay. So that's good. That's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you have them close, but then the curse is you have them close. So your son waited. That. He was such a good boy. He waited for everybody to get there. You had your baby. You were in the hospital. You come home, and now you basically went from living in this house all by yourself, you and your hubs. Now you come home from the hospital with a brand new tiny bean and everybody. How was that an easier transition for you? Did you feel more comfortable, or had you gotten so used to living in your space, just you and him, that you were like, oof, I don't know if this is a great idea to have so many people under one roof?
Both. Definitely both. On the same day, maybe in the span of 1 hour, I had both feelings because it was great. They were extremely helpful. Like I was very fortunate, and I must say spoiled, because I didn't do anything, if I'm being honest.
And that was just a Singleton. That was just your Singleton.
Yes.
So you didn't even know what was coming down the horizon. Oh my gosh.
So they were cleaning the house, cooking meals. I was really focused on resting and recovering and taking care of the baby. So that was amazing. But at the same time, there were opinions and I didn't want to do things a certain way. So there was stress involved, but mostly it was positive. Now, it is complicated when you're living with your parents again and you want to do things a certain way. But I think I was so exhausted from just the newborn phase that I just, okay, yeah, that's okay. I was trying to also it's the first grandson from both sides. So they wanted to be around. It was my decision to move abroad. It was not their decision to live away from their grandkids. So I cannot, do this to them.
That's really an interesting way of thinking about it. So for the record, you're like that. There are so many people that would think of the other way. Like, this is where I live now. You have to deal with it. You're literally like, I don't want them to suffer for the choices that I made. That's a very interesting perspective.
And my kids, because now they still don't understand that the grandparents live far away, but they will eventually. And I don't want them to be, I still want them to be close with the grandparents. So
when you had your son, how long did they stay with you?
4 months.
4 months. That's not okay. In the grand scheme of things, that's not, 2 days, but it's not 4 years. So how did you manage the day-to-day, like just running of your house? Because it's got to even kind of take a toll on your husband. I know that if my mother was around every day, which she was for a very long time, it definitely caused some issues between us. But it wasn't just that. I think it's when it's not even that there was a problem that he would specifically have. I think it's just everybody being underfoot of everybody and feeling a little trapped, like you have no place to go. Were you able to convey to your husband that, like, this is our reality, we really need the help, I need them here, this is part of my healing process? How did you balance what you wanted with what he might have wanted for your family that isn't in Brazil, right? Because your family is just you, him, and the baby at that time.
Yep.
So how did you manage all those personalities?
Honestly, I think it was easier for him than it was for me, because he only had like a week paternity leave. So he went back to work. And I was in the house with all of them. So the majority of the conflicts happened with me, not with him. He would only come back at night. So it was only the good part that he saw, For me, it was harder because I was there like, tired and overwhelmed and hearing one or two things that I didn't like.
Do you think, looking back, is there any advice that you could give to another mother that's currently expecting that might be in this situation? Do you think that it was a benefit that they got there just in the nick of time? Or do you think that it would have been better off for them to come 2 weeks later or 2 weeks earlier? Looking back, since now you've done this 2 times, right? So you have the Singleton, and then of course you have your 20s, which is how you ended up here on our podcast. But is there anything that you're like, I did different the second time around, or at least would tell somebody in your little community, or even us here listening? Is there something you would have done differently? Do you think that was the right amount of time, too long, too short, or is there or you just wouldn't have done anything different?
I think it was very good, honestly, in retrospect. Again, like at the time, I might have a different opinion, but now I think it was just good enough because I stayed home for 3 months on maternity leave. So it got them a chance to spend an extra month with the baby after I went back to maternity leave. It gave me the opportunity to keep him at home for an extra month before going to daycare. So it was very good. Maybe like if I would change something, it would be like coming a little bit later, because that's when I needed more help after I went back to work. But at the same time, like circling back to like not taking this opportunity from them to be here and seeing him in the hospital, like exactly like after he was born. So my mom was actually with me during birth. So it was my husband and my mom. So it was an important moment for everybody. Yeah.
I'm glad she made it in time.
Yeah. Me too.
Oh, thank goodness. So now we got your son out of the way. He's growing. Life is good. The pandemic happens. We're getting back into the swing of things. And now you find out you're pregnant again.
Yeah. So I'm on the older side of momhood, if you will. So even my first pregnancy, I was already considered like the geriatric pregnancy.
Oh, great term that they use for us.
Amazing. I love it. So I knew I couldn't wait too long to have our second baby. So my son was about a year and a half when I got pregnant again. And then we found out there was actually 2 in there. And that was very shocking, as I think it is for most of the people that listen to this podcast.
How did you tell your family that? Like, did you make it like there's some people that we've noticed here at Twiniversity. There's like two types of parents. There's the parents that are like, I told people immediately because I couldn't believe it. So I needed everybody to be in my orbit believing it. And then there's people that are like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx it. And then there's people that are like, it's none of their business. So I'm not telling them until they need to know. What school of Twinny telling are you in?
I told them right away because I just couldn't. I didn't tell a lot of people. Yeah. I didn't tell a lot of people. We waited like the 3 months or whatever to tell all the friends and work and everything. But the close family, we told them right away. We showed them actually the ultrasound pictures, and they had that sleep, and they had like baby A, baby B, and then both of them on the same picture, with the two subtitles, like baby A and B on the same picture. So my friends went through like, okay, baby, they didn't notice. And they were like, okay, oh, that's cute. And then my mom went like, baby A and baby B? What is that? And my father, no, what do you mean? It's not baby A, baby B. And I'm like, right here, baby A, baby B. And he was like, what? How? Why? How? Because we don't have any cases of twinnies in my family.
There's the geriatric pregnancy for you. One of the side effects of a geriatric pregnancy is multiples. Yes, welcome. Welcome all the listeners that are above 35 years old. So yes, it's such a big majority of our community that it's standard. But I think that the Singleton world doesn't realize that the longer that you wait to have kids, your ovaries go in like a fire sale situation. They're like, all the eggs out. Everybody's got to get out. So it's not really a shock, but it's always a shock, no matter what, because nobody expects it to be them, right?
No. So, and I didn't know about that, about the age factor. I just didn't know. So it was a complete shock.
So now there you go. You're still surprised. So when your family found out that it was 2, were they looking to come up sooner? Because now, historically, we know that twin pregnancies are a little bit more challenging. We have more doctor's visits. You might have to go on bed rest, which is controversial, yes or no. But regardless, there's still plenty of doctors who believe in it in this country. Did they do anything different the next time around because you were having a duo instead of just a singleton?
I think they left it up to me. That was a little bit different. So the first time around, they wanted to be here for the birth. The second time around, they told me, tell us what you need and we'll do it.
Oh, that's so
just tell us how to do this. And again, like I had zero exposure to twins. And now my circle of friends that helped me so much during the first time around, they didn't have anything to help me. I mean, it was a complete different thing. Like the pregnancy itself, like tough test results and being seen by maternal fetal health and all the ups and downs and the crazy roller coaster that we're in during the twin pregnancy. I had no one that went through this experience to talk to. And that's actually when I started listening to podcasts on twins. And that's when I found Twiniversity and started, because like I needed information and I didn't know where to go to. So that was extremely helpful. And so again, like I didn't know about all the risks and the bed rest possibility. I learned about that during pregnancy. Wow. So I started getting mentally, I actually had to change doctors. Not had to, I decided to change doctors because I wanted to deliver in a hospital that had a great NICU.
Okay.
So I actually ended up changing doctors, changing city, changing hospitals, changing everything, because I wanted to be in a place that I knew. How much further
was the better NICU to you? Because like where about an hour, right? So like the centralness of your state, it's historically, not saying that the state's known for great medical care, but where you are in a more rural area and not in a big thriving urban area, you don't have as much to pick from. So knowing that you had to go to kind of the more urban area, the more, populated area, what was the drive time difference?
About an hour. Each way.
That's tough.
So it's not bad compared to I used to do this every day to work or worse. So it was okay.
You've heard even podcasts with people that were like 4 hours away. So but still compared to a 20-minute drive and then having all your doctors an hour away, that's 2 hours round trip, that you're still working. Yeah. You still have a son to care for. So it does make such a big difference, but it makes such a huge impact just on the comfort level that you feel and the security that you feel during pregnancy. So if anybody's listening that's even slightly like thinking about it, don't hesitate, because that further hospital with a better level NICU is going to provide you more comfort in the long run.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was great. So you changed hospitals, you changed doctors. Like now it's a whole new ball game. So now you're starting from scratch.
Again, yeah.
When with your family and the friends that were there, did you have any of your friends deliver at that bigger hospital? So nobody was familiar with it. You were going in blind to this. Wow.
I went.
See, once again, the bravery, I say, like, Carol, it's not lost on me of how brave that we are just as women, that you got up and you left your family, you left your country, and now you left the security of your hospital, which I know that there's people that are probably saying, Nat, you're crazy. That's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. It's a very big deal, because when we're comfortable, right, and we know that something's going to happen some way, we have a certain level of comfort and security. But you decided, you're like, you know what? I'm ripping all that up again. And so you're used to the unknown. You're
I think
daredevil, in my opinion. So you went and you changed hospitals. And did this hospital give you any guidance on as far as how much help you would need with your son, or what your limitations were physically, what you should or shouldn't do? Did they give you any guidelines that maybe wanted your family up sooner?
No, not really. Everything was going well, actually. Besides the weird testing from the beginning of the pregnancy, like everything went well. I actually had gestational diabetes with my first, but I didn't have the second time around. So I was kind of very healthy throughout the pregnancy. But no, yeah, I just had to be monitored like twice a week, just for the regulars, but everything was going okay. So no directions on that regard.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that's the plus side. And that's actually really shocking that you had gestational diabetes the first time around, not the second. That's rare.
Yes.
So you already got away with murder, so to speak. Like that's fantastic. So now, as your pregnancy was progressing, and as you knew that kind of our delivery day deadline was there, did you do anything different, or were you still trying to time it to at least be close to that delivery date with your family? Did you opt for kind of what you recommended our people do, wait a little bit later? What happened with the twinnies?
This time around, we had our oldest someone needed to look for him while we were in the hospital. And of course, I didn't know if there was going to be NICU involved or not, if it was going to be a C-section or not, how long we were going to be away, if I was going to be okay or not. And so we decided we really needed someone here before the birth. So we planned, but we didn't know how far ahead we needed. So in my mind, I was planning, okay, I'm going to try to make it to 30 weeks, but we just didn't know. Between 30 and 38, a lot could happen. So we didn't want anyone to come in too early, but we didn't want to go to the point where I would deliver before someone got here. So I think we planned for my mother-in-law to come when I was 34 weeks. She got here, we enjoyed a good weekend and all of that. And then I delivered the next week at 35 weeks and 1 day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So 35 weeks, 1 day, you know what the process is like, right? You know what the healing time in the hospital is going to be. You knew all those things from the first time around. Was it different? Was it different because it was two? Because also, I think that a lot of people who just have twinnies don't realize the heaviness that your heart feels when you still have a baby at home, right? So you had your son at home, because whenever we have twinny families that deliver with a singleton, they're so quick to get out of the hospital. And everybody's like, I just want to get home. Like, as soon as everybody is cleared, I just want to get home. Meanwhile, there's people who are like, that just have their 20s and they're like, I never want to leave here. This is where all my help is. I feel safe and secure here. Yeah. Because you had your family and you knew that they were home, were you looking to rush yourself out of the hospital, or were you okay with kind of what the process was with the 20s once they were born?
No, yeah, I wanted to get home as soon as we could, because I missed my son a lot. And it was tough. Like, the girl spent 10 days in the NICU. It wasn't bad at all. I know we were very fortunate again. But the 3 days that I spent without seeing him between delivery and he going to visit us at the hospital, like, he changed completely in my eyes. Like, he was not a baby anymore. It broke my heart.
He was a more mature man now.
Yeah.
Because he was the older man now.
Yeah. Because he was so big. Like, I think he grew like, I don't even know. Like, he was so big when I saw him the first time after the girls were born.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and he was adorable with them since the beginning. But going back to your question, I'm sorry, everything was different. Everything. I think the only thing in common was both of them were natural deliveries, which I was not expecting. definitely with the girls. But besides that, everything was different. They were rushed to the NICU right away. I couldn't stay with them. And the breastfeeding experience was completely different, a lot harder with you, and a lot harder in the NICU when they needed to gain weight fast. And so everything was just very different. Luckily, they didn't have any major issues. So the stay in the NICU was very light for us. But it was different, like wanting to be home and having to be at the hospital with them. So my husband and I, we took turns. So he would come home and we would switch. He would get to the hospital and I would come home to be with our son. And we did that for the 10 days that we were there.
Wow. That is plus, and now the hour drive, right?
Yeah,
so you have all of that. So how did your family fit into your circle of help? So we know that we rely so much on our partners, and you have the local community, right? Of your local women friends that are there. And now you have your mom there. How did you decide who was going to do what? Because, and I think it's not only people that are in your situation that have family that are coming from even out of town, from an out of state, but it's the division of labor, right? Because now we have to take care of the older kiddo. We have to take care of the younger kiddos, and you have to take care of yourself and your home and your partner. And it is exponentially more challenging. With your family that came up, did you say like, okay, this is how we're going to assign duties? Like you stay just with, the older dude, and your responsibility is just going to be that you're going to entertain him during the day. And then you're like, okay, so that may be your dad. Then your mom may have like these responsibilities. And then, if you had cousins, and then the women from the neighborhood, they're going to make dinners. Did you have a plan of who was going to do what, even if it was just in your head?
A little bit. And I didn't mention that. So only my mother-in-law came ahead of time this second time around. So since I was going to stay home for another 3 months again, we decided my mother-in-law would come, and then it would be 2 adults for 2 babies. And then she would leave and my parents would come. And then I would go back to work, and they would stay with the girls for a little longer before they would start daycare. So at the beginning, it was just my husband, me, my mother-in-law, and the 3 kids. So we had a 1-for-1 ratio.
All right. So that's pretty good. When did you decide to have your family come up to cover some of that missing space, or to at least get you acclimated? Like, I always think that people never take into consideration the time that it takes you to settle back into even going back to work. Right. So they're always worried about like the first few days after the hospital, which of course we know that those are challenging, but what that process is. It's the transition to like the next step, right? So you set it up so that your mother-in-law would kind of start the first shift, right? The earlier shift for when they were teeny tinies. And then when did your family get up? Like, was it a month later, 2 months later? When was it?
3.5. So
3.5.
This time around, yes. So my mother-in-law stayed for 3.5 months. And then my parents came for 3.5 months. So by the time they left, they were already 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's so much. And then look at all the money that you saved too on daycare.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's honestly, Carol, like that's genius. Because so many people plan, they front load all of the help, and they don't think about what's going to happen in 3 months. When you going back to work, or at least knowing, especially because you just had maternity leave 10 seconds ago, right? Because you had your babies back to back. It could be so awkward. And so you filled that. Very smart, very smart. Love it. 10 out of 10 is what I would recommend that people do this. I don't think that people I think they underestimate how challenging it is to go back to work, even just the psychological end, because you leave your heart at home. Right. Well, the saying is, right, whenever you have children, it's like learning to live with your heart outside of your body.
Yep.
So everything changes. Your work changes. Your church time changes. The going to the vet with the dog changes. Everything changes because you constantly worry about these tiny 3 little humans that you had at home.
Oh yeah. Your brain never shuts down.
No,
never.
It's impossible.
And I'm a person that, again, like, I never thought about having kids. So I was very work oriented. So like not going back to work was never an option for me. But at the same time, it is a struggle now that I do have 3 kids.
It has to be done, especially like, depending on what you do. And for those of you that are listening, I think it's so common here in the United States for us to have to go back to work immediately, right? We are not a country that is known for taking care of our women. We are not well known for that. So it's so interesting because with Twiniversity, I work with families that go back at 3 months, sometimes 6 months, but I have plenty of families that have to go back in 2 weeks. that there is no way that they could pay a mortgage, that they could pay their car payment unless both parents were working, which breaks my heart, but it's what reality is. So we have to do whatever we have. And your family being able to be so flexible and understanding, there was no issue with your mom saying like, oh, your mother-in-law is there with the babies. Was there ever an issue with that? I know in my house there was. Like my mother-in-law always was upset that she didn't see the Twinnies as much as my mom did because we live with my mom. So my mom saw the kids every day and I would tell my mother-in-law, feel free to move in. I don't know what to tell you. This was all that I could do. Did you have any animosity between the families of saying like, you got the good part? Right. And who's to say, by the way, what really is?
Yeah, exactly.
I do not like infants. I would take a toddler any day of the week. That's my style. So with that, you knew from the first time around kind of how the family was going to work because you waited and changed the spacing. Did either family give you any issues with the decisions that you made?
No, they didn't. We even talked about exactly what you just mentioned. My parents might have felt like kind of sad by missing the early stages, but I'm sure my mother-in-law also felt sad by missing like when they were learning how to, do more stuff and starting to laugh and starting to do a lot of things. So unfortunately, being away from family, it's going to happen. Like they're going to see some part. Yeah, yes. They're going to see some parts and they're going to miss a lot of other parts. Yeah.
So now being on the other side, right? How old are the Twinnies now?
8 months. Oh. Yeah, they're still tiny.
They're still teeny tiny beings.
Yeah.
So now your family is still there?
Gone. No.
I was hoping they came back. I was like, wait, please tell me that they came back and that they got addicted to being with the kiddos, because then that's a lot of money you could save on daycare. So when they went back, of course, it is heartbreaking. But an interesting question that I have for you is, because you knew that you were going to have a second child, after you had your son, you knew that there was going to be another time. If you do not know that there's going to be a third time, whether it happens or not is an entirely other story. Do you feel sadder because you're not going to have all those months with your family again?
No, because they're going to still visit. Even though there's not going to be another pregnancy, they're still going to come and visit. And whenever they come and visit, it's not going to be for a week because it's very far away, very expensive. So whenever anyone in the family comes and visit, it's going to be at least a month. So we know that. Now, if it's going to be a month every year or a month every 2 years, that we don't know. But we know they're still going to be able to spend quality and long time with the kids when they decide to come back.
So another question I have is, you knew the size of the house that you were moving into, right? So when you were looking, you were like, okay, we're going to be a family of 4, right? Which of course, as Mother Nature laughed at you and said, oh no, you're going to be a family of 5. So you bought a particular house knowing that you wanted to have 2 kids. And now knowing that you're going to have your family come visit for at least a month, I hope, which I want them to stay more, of course, if I get a family vote. But do you ever think about maybe even getting a bigger house or changing the layout so that everybody knows that they're always welcome in your home, whether it is for a week or for, a month? Did you ever think about the space that you're in and making it as appealing as possible? But now with the Twinnies, did any of that change?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a recurring topic right now because, we did buy a house for 4 people. And then the first time around, like our son stayed with us in the bedroom while the family was here. So each one of the families took one of the spare bedrooms. Now, the second time around, we still had the empty bedroom, like the nursery. So the girls were sleeping in our bedroom while my mother-in-law was here and then my parents. But we did build an extra bedroom in the basement. So we were lucky enough to have space for that. But next time, if they decide to come all at once again, then we don't have space for everybody. Or tough. Let's say if my sister decides to come as well and my parents, then we don't have space for everybody. So it is something that we consider. But at the same time, we don't want to get a higher mortgage than we need just for a short period of time. Then maybe they come and visit. So it's a struggle just to decide exactly what we need.
It's funny. We always think we need more, But like, I challenge everybody that's thinking about this to just remember that our ancestors who did come here came with no space, no illusion that there was going to be a space for them. But when my 20s were born, we were living in the same apartment that I'm living in now. And it's about 650 square feet is really all that it is. And it's comical to everybody that hears me say these words. They cannot believe that we live in this house, but we don't need space. We want space.
Yeah. And we get used to it because again, like I'm from a big city. So I was also raised in a smaller house, shared a bedroom with my sister my entire life. And it's totally okay. Everybody's okay.
So Carol, talking to families that are, whether they're from another country or another state that doesn't have their people around them, what advice do you give to those new people that you met or meet, just like those women that you met back when you had your son? Is there any tips that you give them to make the transition of having, you know, your whole family around in comparison to just, you know, you guys? So that was phrased badly. But what I'm trying to say is, what advice could you give somebody to make that transition easier from when their family visits or how much help they need? How does somebody navigate that?
Especially with twins, I would say get all the help you can, because it is a different thing. Comparing like the first time around to the second. And I mean, the second time around, you have all the experience from the first pregnancy, from the first delivery, from the first days at home. It's not the same. Like twins, it's a different thing. Yeah. So you do need help. Like through all the nighttime feedings and everything, like I don't know how I would have done if it wasn't for my mother-in-law here the first months. I don't know how I would have done it going back to work without my parents here. So I really don't know, because it is a lot. I basically don't remember anything from the first 6 months or even more. Like I was back to work, but my brain was not there. It takes a while for you to get back to who you are. So definitely get any help you can. Like if it's someone to clean the house for you or cooking meals, or just make a plan ahead to, I don't know, I'm going to pay someone to clean my house, whatever it is. But you're going to need help because it's a lot. It really is a lot. Now, if it's your family, luckily, if you're lucky enough, you're going to have family come by for a little bit of time or more, like me. But anyone, like if it's friends, like we did have friends helping out that I didn't mention. Like, so with my son, like we would have friends pick him up from daycare, for example, when we were at the hospital. Like we enlisted everyone that wanted to help. We always said, yep, I've got something for you. Just get in line. We're going to have plenty enough for everybody.
Well, you have the benefit of having your son. I think so many people come with the mindset of, I'm a doer. I get things done. Like, you know, I can't control everything, or I'm going to try to control everything. It's when you have your 20s the second time around, you're like, okay, I know that this is going to be much. I know that I'm going to have to heal. I know that they have to grow. There's so many more things that you know how to do correctly. And so it's always funny when I talk to moms that have a singleton and then twinnies, and they're always like, oh, it's so much harder. But you still had the benefit of going through it the first time to know, okay, you know, it was difficult, but we could get through it. You know that they're going to still breathe, right? You know that you know how to swaddle, you know how to change a diaper. It's not like a total baptism by fire where you're learning everything from the ground up. With all of that and having that, do you ever think about, if I had another set of twinnies, okay, let's just pretend we're just pretending. Is there anything that you would then do differently, even from this time?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Or pretend 20s. I'm not wishing it on you, for the record. I'm not manifesting it for you. I always just find it fascinating because truthfully, the people that we learn the most from are twin families. Like you said, after you had your singleton, when you had your twinnie, those friends, like, although they were friends, it's just different. It's not, you know, a different ball game or apples to oranges. It's literally apples to baseball. It's like a totally separate thing. So now, knowing that you wore your twinnie hat, you wore your singleton hat, if you were to even do this again, is there anything, like, would you not go to the further hospital? Do you think that was kind of a waste? Do you think that, you know, you would have more help sooner with your son so that you didn't have to stress about it? Any other little bits of wisdom that you could offer somebody that's expecting now, with the wonderful greatness of time that you've had on your side?
All right. So for the record, I am completely controlling and type A, and I do like to have control and decide how things are gonna get done. But with parenting, I realized we cannot do this all the time. So I think if I were to do this another time, it would be like organizing things. How are we going to handle the three oldest? How are we going to do this? Are we going to do this on our own? Are we going to have family coming back? And how many? And for how long? And who is going to take him to daycare? And who is going to stay home? Are we taking like longer paternity leave? Like, how are we going to do this? Because then we are already outnumbered. Yes. 5-2, it would be something else.
Could you imagine?
I can't. I really
can't. I can. We just got word so we have a lot of people that have twins twice, right? Within our Twiniversity community. It's not as uncommon as people think. But now I have a mom who's on her fourth set.
Oh my God.
Carol, please. I don't even know what we could do for this woman. I'm like, maybe I fly out. I don't even know what to do. I can't even handle it. It's too much to handle. But if there's anybody that should have twins, I always say it's a parent of twins, because you have that benefit of experience, and maybe it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable because you have all those stressors removed. But that's but of course that's not what happens. It's still, the odd man out of the people that end up having twinnies twice. But
you're onto something, because really, like, I have a feeling that I don't spend nearly as much time with them that I spend with my first one, because there's two of them. Yes. So maybe if it happened another time, I would really force myself just to spend a little bit of time with one and then with the other, not be overwhelmed all the time trying to divide my attention between the two of them.
So now, good news. You just learned a lesson. You just taught yourself something that you should start doing now. Listen, they're teeny tiny babies. They're not going to remember this time. So it's the changes that you can make today that are going to be sustainable for the future, that you could make changes every single day. Every time the sun gets up, you have an opportunity to change the way that you do things. You're not a prisoner to anybody. Thank God, right? We could do this. We have the freedom to do whatever we want with our families every single day at this point. Who knows what's going to happen in 10 years?
Yeah.
Right? But for now, we know that everything is good, and we're safe and we're happy. And you just taught yourself a valuable lesson. And that that rarely happens in a podcast where you get to teach yourself things, right? But Carol, thank you so much for playing with me today. I feel I'm so appreciative, because I know that this story is not uncommon to what our listeners are going through. And the fact that you listened to us when you were pregnant, like, it's not lost on me. And it's so fascinating that, like, Carol, honestly, I know everybody thinks that, like, I think a lot of people, you guys think that I'm like fancy or whatever, but I'm literally not. I struggle every single day with my own kids the same way that you do. I unload my dishwasher and curse the same way that everybody else does. That why the heck are you unloading a dishwasher when there's 4 people that live in this house? Why are you the one that's doing it, right? When the dog's nails get to need cutting, who do you think is the one that does that? So I am still in the trenches. I am not some fancy, like, executive. Twiniversity is not that kind of business. We are a mom and pop shop. Despite the fact that we reach millions of people, it doesn't change anything. We're all still in the thick of it. I'm just in the thick of it with 20-year-olds. So I've never been a mom to 20-year-old twins. Yeah. So it's like we're all learning on the go. And so anytime that we get to learn from each other's experience, the better that we're going to be. So Carol, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for playing with us today. For real. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This podcast helped me a lot. I couldn't even put in words how much I learned from every single episode. So hopefully I'm going to be able to help someone.
You definitely will. That's you helped yourself. Even if nobody actually listens to this, you already figured something out. And for those of you that are out there in listener town, viewer town, wherever you're watching this, please, all the good things, like, subscribe, blah, 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 whatever that is. But honestly, I know that we keep hitting people over the head with a like and subscribe, but that is the only way that companies it's the algorithm out, like, it lets us loose. So our goal is to just make other twin families find us, right? Like, that's it. We don't do this. Nobody at Twiniversity is doing this for huge financial gain, because there is none. This is not that kind of a business. We just want to make sure that other people like you, like Carol, like me, that we could find each other. So really do click like, please leave a review. Humbly, that's the one ask that I got from you guys. Whether you read a book, you listened to a podcast, you took a class, any place that you could leave a review, it lets the social media gods that be let people know that we're real. and that we're really here for real people, and that we're not just doing this for the fame of the TikTok. Like, it doesn't matter. We want to help people every day. And so it's people like you and people like Carol that just let us do it. And we're really excited. So like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you need anything from us, you could find us. You literally could slide into any social platform. Just slide into our DMs. We're Twiniversity anywhere. Or you can message us at community@Twiniversity. And we really do get back to you. We check that multiple times a day. So community@Twiniversity.com is our email address. Let us know if there's ever a way that we could be of assistance to you, because not everybody's got a family like Carol's that's willing to fly thousands of miles. So if you're going through a struggle, know we have our monthly support groups. We have plenty of resources that are available to you at literally no charge. If there's a way that we could help, the only way that we could actually help is if you let us know you need help. Otherwise, we can't find you. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, guys, see you later, alligators. And thank you so much for listening.